In the 4th chapter of the letter to the Philippians, Paul sends us incredibly powerful words that have resonated for centuries. Quite persistent, isn't he? He's been speaking to us for nearly 2,000 years. The apostle wrote this letter from prison. No TV, no smartphone, yet he managed to feel as if he was in a 5-star hotel, attributing his contentment to the joy in Christ. Paul says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." Can you imagine? Always. Even when coffee spills on your white shirt right before an important meeting. Even if you forget an important deadline. And if your favorite cookie falls frosting side down, find joy then too. The joy in the Lord isn't the same kind of happiness you feel when you get a raise, though that's a great reason to rejoice too. It's a joy that endures even the most unfortunate events. In the early verses, Paul mentions Euodia and Syntyche. We can infer that there was a conflict between them. Who knows? Maybe it was about the interpretation of a teaching. Or perhaps it was over the recipe for the best hummus in town. But jokes aside, the key is that Paul wanted unity between them. You know why? When we are united, we're stronger. Moving on to verse 5, let your gentleness be evident to all. Why? The Lord is near. What a beautiful reminder. We often forget that God is close. So close, in fact, that He's always ready to lend a helping hand or simply provide us with bread and fish. In verses 6 and 7, Paul advises us not to worry. Yes, you heard right. Not because He'll hand us a magical wand that solves all problems, but because we should present our anxieties in prayer. Imagine, instead of worrying about the future, just talking about it with God, like chatting with your best friend who always listens. Even if it's the 10th time you're discussing the same thing. Did you know psychologists have found that 91% of our fears never materialize? Lastly, in verse 9, Paul says, put it into practice. It's not like that DIY assembly kit you buy and leave in its box thinking, I'll get to it someday. This is something we should be doing every day, and when we do, Paul promises that the God of peace will be with us. Joy, unity, prayer, and living our faith practically are the keys to a fulfilling life. And remember, even if your cookie falls frosting side down, you can always have a laugh and share it with God. Jesus is always ready for a shared feast.